Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Spiritual Connection Show. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. I'm a transformation coach, I'm an energy healer, shamanic practitioner, and I'm the spiritual head of the Transformation Center located in Westport, Connecticut. At the center, our purpose is to help you find your purpose, find out who you truly are, and let go of everything that you're not. And we do that through the coaching and the healing. We also have a variety of classes and workshops. In fact, we have one coming up this fall of 2022, starting in October, and it's called Consciously Create the Life of Your Dreams. It's based on the book called The Map by Bonnie Lonsberry. Yeah, so I'm teaching that with Michelle Giliberto of Healers Who Share. So if that speaks to you, I'm going to put up our contact info. You can check out the website. There we go, transformationcenterct.com. So all of our events are up there. Every second Tuesday of the month, we host a Shamanic Clinic on Zoom. And this is an opportunity for you to find out more about shamanic healing because you get a half-hour session. So it's just like a little sample of an extraction healing. So you can go on the website to find out all about that and everything else that is going on. We have sound baths in the backyard, all kinds of cool stuff. All right. So welcome to the Spiritual Connection Show again. And as you know, I'm all about connection since it's one of my core values. I love meeting new people, finding out what they're up to, hearing their stories, and sharing that with you so you can find out what's available for you to learn in their story and get closer to who you really are, which is what it's all about. So I'm very excited today to welcome my guest, Jessica. Hi, Jessica. Welcome to the show.
Hello. How are you, Katie? It's so great and so amazing to be here. I'm so happy that we connected. It's really amazing. I'm so excited to be part of your show.
Me too. I'm glad you could do it. So I'm going to put up your contact info so people can see how to get in touch with you.
Excellent.
There we go. Yeah, so I'm going to read a little bit about Jessica before we get started so you can get to know her a little bit. So Jessica Aniela Kolbusz is a business and life mentor who helps her clients prosper. She takes clients from spinning their wheels with feeling overwhelmed to crystal clear clarity. I love that. And unwavering confidence to create the Trifecta Experience. And this is a journey for impact-driven entrepreneurs and service-minded professionals to experience empowering wealth, greater health, and fulfilling relationships. Doesn't that sound amazing? Yeah, so I just met Jessica not too long ago, I think about a couple of weeks ago, and I knew right away that we had a connection. And so I invited her to be here with you today. So again,
thank you. Oh, thank you. I am so beyond excited to be here. It's like I felt it's a divine connection when we connected on the phone. And then we met in person. That just confirmed everything. It really was beautiful. I really enjoyed our connection, and I see it's building, and which is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I agree. Yes. So, I always like to start with the first question that I ask my guest. And that is just tell us a little bit about like your spiritual journey thus far, how you got here, whatever you want to share, really.
Sure. I knew when I was little, you know how when you like lay in the grass and look up at the sky and the clouds, I was like, you know what? I know I'm here for a bigger purpose. I would always like, what's beyond those clouds? Like, what's like, is God up there? Where is God? Where is God? That was always my question. Like, where is God when I need God? Right. Uh-huh. And, as growing up as a Catholic, you thought God is in heaven. He's somewhere up above you. Like, it's like so far away from you. And you feel like you have to like connect with somebody else to get to God. Right. And I'm like, I was always taught that. And then as I was getting older and I had this vision of like helping people and how can I help people? How can I knew there's something bigger than myself. Something that I knew that I was going to create something and really share with the world. I did that when I was little at 5, creating rocks and painting them, selling door to door. And then I was learning about Jesus and how he's an amazing healer, and teaching kids my size across the street and how he healed and created miracles for people. That was like, that stood in my heart, that I never forgot. Even though I forgot about most of my childhood, I never forgot about that. That stood out in my mind my whole entire life.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, it's kind of funny. When something stays with you that powerful, that's a blueprint. That's something that God is showing you that is part of your journey. Something to remember. So I always ask before I go to sleep, I said, just let me know something that I need to remember that can help me in my life, right? That can stay with me, that can guide me on my path of my next steps. That's important for me to know, right? So when I got into, I knew I like sales, I like connect with people, and I help, and I was doing this on the side as mentoring people. I started mentoring my family, friends, and people that I met along the way, and guiding them on a path so they can become successful in their career, in their relationships, and especially their health. Because if we don't have our health, we don't really have anything. We can't live in fulfillment. So, and that was my passion. So when I got into corporate, I went to college and went through a couple different majors to get to business. And I found business because I like international business, because I love learning about culture, learning about. So I studied with people my whole life. And I like to learn, okay, what drives them? What is their story? What is their why? And also what causes them to repeat cycles, to repeat patterns. I always when I met somebody, I always kind of saw beyond their words. You know what I mean? You can hear their words, but their actions were not matching up.
Yeah.
I always ask myself, why? Why is that? I love to discover the root cause of things. That was I believe my first word that I mentioned to my mom was why. And I always wanted to know why. How did this happen? I was like Sherlock Holmes, discovering the mysteries of things. What is solving mysteries? So that was my life, really. Yeah. And when I got into corporate sales and marketing, I helped my clients become successful. The clients were my number one priority. And when I helped develop those long-term relationships, that was so fulfilling for me. And especially when they really created their goals into reality. I really helped them on creating goals and helped them become I was in collaboration with them. I didn't consider myself in sales. I consider myself as a consultant, a collaborator to help them achieve a goal. And that's how it made me successful consistently in corporate. I was there for 17 years until 2014 hit. And I was like, oh my God. I went and I worked 10 years at one company. And then I left that company to go into medical sales. I figured medical sales, I'm helping somebody directly, because of what I was doing was unfulfilling, because I felt I was making money, but it wasn't purposeful. It wasn't something fulfilling for me. It wasn't rewarding.
Right. Which a lot of people experience that at some point when they, So what happened when you realized that?
Yeah. Well, I worked for this one company because God shows you, right? When I worked for this company, this other company, medical company, I left because things in the company were transitioning, and I'm like, okay, I have to leave. And because it's not going to be beneficial for me and my growth. So I said, okay, I have to go into another company. And you know what? It happened again. And I'm like, it was less than a year. The manager I was working for, where our values are not in alignment, and we value two different things. And he wasn't the greatest manager and caused me a lot of stress, because the misalignment caused me stress, inner struggles. And I was started getting sick every 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, I wake up to a call of my name. I'm like, they said, Jessica. I was hearing Jessica before I wake up. You got to wake up. You got to wake up. I'm like, I would ask a question. I'm like, after I wake up, I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? Like, what is the answer? What am I waking up to? Why am I waking up? What is that? What do you mean by that? So the waking up was really a soul calling, really the calling of my soul to my purpose. Cause that was my, since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to discover what my purpose is. And it was my time. It was my time to awaken to that call. Mm-hmm. So when I finally hired a mentor, because I had to hire a mentor, I didn't have the mindset to leave corporate. And I still had the codependent type of mindset. And depending on a paycheck, I had a lot of fear, leaving corporate. I felt like overwhelmed. I felt exhausted. I felt I was getting sick every 2 weeks and I was not myself. And finally I met this person at a coffee shop, and that person helped me change my life.
Isn't that wonderful how when you're ready, that right person appears to you when you're open and you're available for transformation? That's awesome.
Yeah, because I said, God, I'm 100% committed. I want to change my life. Please, yeah. I begged, like, please send me that person. I am ready. I promise you. I promise you with my heart, my soul, everything I am, I'm going to commit. And when I met her at a coffee shop, she did all the work I was about to do, because she also was in corporate, did all the inner work. She moved to Hawaii, then she moved back to Connecticut, and that's where I met her at a coffee shop. We finally had a conversation, and she said, I'm an acupuncturist and I do transformation work. I'm like, okay, when can I start?
That's great. Yeah. It's you had to be ready, and you were.
Yeah. I needed to go through those experiences for me to say, you know what, I had enough.
Right. Well, you saw perhaps what you didn't want it so much in your life. The things that came with working the way you were, it just didn't work for you. So
right, where our core values were not in alignment. Plus, I realized when I started doing a lot of deep meditation in 2012, things were becoming aware. I was becoming aware of patterns that were repeating in my life, especially in relationships that were impacting my career and business. And I'm like, okay. Then I was asking myself, how did this happen? What was the root cause of this pattern repeating in my relationships that are impacting my business, impacting my health, impacting my relationships? That was my purpose, to discover what the source of that problem was. What was the source? And that's when I work with, her name is Wanda. When I started working with Wanda, we went on a retreat to Hawaii, and it was there I became connected to my body again. If you were to ask me before that how I felt, I would say, I don't know. Yeah. I didn't know how my body felt. I felt numb. I felt disconnected from my body.
Yeah, and it happens. Yeah.
And it's like, once I got back into nature, because we are nature, our body is nature. And once I got back into nature, I became connected to myself again. And I started asking myself, what is it that I want? And I couldn't go back to corporate at that time. I called my manager in Hawaii and said, I'm not coming back. So that was very life-changing for me. It was scary at the same time, very scared. I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't. I was, and but it felt so empowering when I told my manager I was not coming back. Yeah. And I stayed there a whole month. And that was the most glorious month that I felt there, and it was amazing. I felt it was like Mother Nature was rocking me in a cradle. Felt so safe. I felt so loved. That experience was so beautiful. And that really helped me make that decision. And it really, it was. And then she said, once you make that leap and jump the cliff, don't worry, things are going to fall into place. I promise you.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. I've had that happen with a lot of people, and it's about making the commitment to yourself
Yes,
that
it is.
you're all in. You're like, okay, no safety net. I'm all in.
No,
Do that, then the universe starts to support you. So
yeah,
the universe hears you and wants you to be happy and fulfilled and all of those things. So that's amazing that you have firsthand experience with that. I love it.
yeah. I didn't have a plan B. I only had plan A. That was it. And God said, that's, we're going to go on this amazing journey, and we're going to do this together.
Mhm.
And I'm going to guide you to the right people. And as long as you follow my direction and say yes, and say no to some directions I don't want you going into, but then saying, I'm just going to show you the yes ones, and then you're going to say yes. And
Mhm.
that's what happened. People just came into my life that was supportive of me, and I said yes. It felt good in my heart. It felt good. The connection felt good. It felt like it was alignment, and then I started following that path. And I met so many amazing people. I went to China after that because I wanted to move to Florida. So you know what? God had me go visit a few places on my own to prepare me for the journey of moving to Florida. It's all about preparation, right? I couldn't just jump and move to Florida.
Okay.
I had to do another little trip. It was another life-changing trip to China by myself. Got sick for 30 days, but you know what? I didn't die. I was fine after 30 days. It was a little bumpy ride. I'm not going to lie, but finally, at the end of 30 days, I felt better to travel. So I did. It was really transformative because it was transforming my inner environment. It was purging physically. It was amazing, which I needed. And so that prepared me for the move to Florida. So, and then once I left China and recovered a little bit back in Connecticut, then I finally moved to Florida. I closed on my house. I sold that in 2 weeks. Everything just fell into place.
Mm.
And the preparation of my healing, discovering, my why, and discovering a lot of things that have happened to me that I totally forgot about as a child came to my awareness when I moved to Florida.
Mm.
So, and it was totally life-changing, eye-opening. I realized I was living in an illusion and a lie back in Connecticut. And I totally become aware of the truth of my life, and I faced it and did a lot of forgiveness work. And this type of journey is the journey of really forgiving, not just of the people that hurt you and things of the past, but also forgiving yourself for just being in that vibration of guilt and shame and fear and sadness and depression. And which is a lower frequency. And that's why people unconsciously repeat cycles, repeat patterns in their life, and attract the same situations over and over again, because I'm a living, breathing of that example, because I was doing that in my life unconsciously.
Right. If you're not conscious of it, then you can't change it.
Exactly. So when I traveled and then finally moved to Florida, and then traveled to California and got certified in NLP, which is neurolinguistic programming. So it's all about these things I did to get certified in was part of my healing process.
I totally can relate to that, because every training, every kind of thing that I've done, it starts here with us. We still have a lot to heal. We have so much to learn in that regard. So yeah, I'm right there with you on that one.
Yes. And you know what? That was my passion. That was my inspiration, was to really heal from the inside out. And I knew I had to heal on a spiritual level. That's what I did in Florida. And in California, I flew to California to get certified in hypnotherapy and NLP. and went back to Florida to finish up my healing. I stayed there for 2.5, almost 3 years. I'm a Reiki master and teacher, as well as EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. So it's releasing, that's what releases the pattern from the body.
That's the tapping, the EFT, right? The tapping,
yeah,
also known as.
So you tap on your meridians. So they incorporate, which is pretty cool, acupuncture points, acupressure points in the body. So your meridians on the left and the right hand side and the middle meridian. So you're really tapping out, actually, it's the pain. Where do you feel pain? And that pain is a pattern and a story. I just, before this call, worked with a person randomly, but it was a purpose. It was a divine intervention. This person had pain in her shoulders, and it was on her left side. And that left side represents the past. And she remembered it was a past life that she was stabbed in the shoulder by, she was a soldier in her past life. And another soldier, which was her mentor, portrayed her by stabbing her in the, really like it was probably a metaphor, but she was stabbed in the back.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was a sword. And she felt this massive pain. She's like, oh my God, I feel a massive pain in the shoulder right now. I'm like, okay. So we went through like a whole session divinely. And she's like, oh my God, I feel so much better now. Yeah. So she didn't know her past life. She didn't see it. She had a feeling of it. I was portrayed, but she didn't see exactly what the story was. What was the root cause? Where did this all happen? And this is what partly what I do. We get to the root cause, and then we release the pattern in the body.
Yes.
So, and what this does, it impacts your finances. This actually creates space so you can be in alignment of the prosperity that you want to create in your business, of the prosperity and fulfillment that you want to create in your relationships, especially the relationship with yourself. I focus on the relationship with themselves first, and then help them with I guide them on tools and things that they can do with their relationships, their external relationships.
Yeah, so that definitely starts with ourselves, our self-love. Yeah.
Yeah, self-love,
yeah, self-compassion, all of those things. So you're describing the trifecta experience. Is that what it? So that's what you people, you get them to that point, in other words.
Yes, I created by working with people. It's all like, I call it, it's been by Joseph Campbell. It's called the hero's journey. So it's like ending old cycles of behavior, ending old life cycles by meeting all these amazing mentors and people that are in support of you, and you help other people along the way. And then you're going back to where you all started. That's why I came back to Connecticut, to face all the stuff that I became aware of in Florida. I had to heal from, so I healed spiritually in Florida. I had to heal physically and emotionally here in Connecticut. So I had to face that to release all those emotions, because I saw, like in my vision, I had suitcases of emotions that were stuck in my body. Most people are unconscious about those. I would say 90 something % of the population.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that we have unconscious patterns, unconscious emotions that are stuck to old events that are attached. These are attachments that we are courting our whole life. And when we are aware of these cords, emotional cords, then we can disconnect and neutralize those cords. And these are old patterns. Right. So once we do that, we create space for those opportunities that are just waiting for you on the other side.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. I love your description of that. It's very, very,
It's beautiful. It's like you're in the valley, and you're kind of like in this valley. That's how a vision came to me. I was like in a valley, and this is a valley of a repeated pattern, for example, of patterns that have been repeating. You're in this valley and you're kind of stuck. You feel stuck. That's why I feel stuck and spinning your wheels. I experienced the same thing. Stop spinning your wheels. I'm like, how can I break through this pattern? How can I rise above it and now see the rainbow on the other side? Right.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is through this. That's why I call it the Trifecta Experience. You have to heal emotionally, you have to heal spiritually and physically. This also has another layer, which is connecting to your mind, body connection with the mind. The heart is your second brain. Your third brain is your gut. They all have to be in alignment. Most people just work on the mind. They say mindset, mindset, mindset. I'm like, okay, you're not just a mind. You have a body beneath your mind, and that's your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
It's not in your mind, it's in the body.
Right. Right.
So when you have, most people are disconnected through the throat. The thing is, people are blocked. They're not showing up authentically. They're afraid to speak how they feel.
Yeah. Because
of fear, because of feeling not good enough, fear of whatever it is they're fearful of. And that's what prevents them from being successful, stepping into their positioning themselves, empowering themselves to prosper. So when you break through that, you connect to your authenticity. So I have a method, it's called the bridge the gap. So in that bridge the gap method, you generate, so your goals, you generate growth, right? By assessing where you're at. So in that valley, you assess, right? You're in the valley, you're assessing where you are, what's not working, what's working, what am I allowing in my life, right? What am I avoiding in my life? What is the root cause of these patterns? You kind of step outside yourself and look at yourself at a bird's eye view of your life. And when you do that, you can ask yourself empowering questions.
Well, that's what you help with, obviously, as a mentor and a coach. You know, that's what coaches do. We ask empowering questions so people can really figure it out for themselves, because that's how it works, right?
Well, that's what actually Jesus taught too. He never just gave the answer. He asked you questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All the great leaders kind of, I mean, to me, that's leadership. Yeah.
Yes, that is leadership, by asking you, okay, where did you feel this way before? Now, what's happening right now in your life? Now, when's another time that's happened? And getting to the source of the problem, right? And then it's discovering, like, okay, it's like a virus, or it's like a weed, you know, in your garden, for example. It spreads to other places, and then it starts to infest. Like your whole garden becomes a weed instead of beautiful flowers, and which are nice, beautiful emotions. Then you become like, then you start having thoughts of feeling not good enough. I'm like, okay, nothing's working out in my life. And then you start, and that's a cycle. And that's the cycle that's repeating until you become aware of what you're thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. That's perfect. Well, I'm afraid we're going to have to wrap up. I'm going to put up your contact info again so people can know how to reach you. They can also go on LinkedIn. You can find Jessica on LinkedIn, or you can email her there. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Jessica.
Thank you so much. It's really my pleasure, me being here. It's really amazing. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on your network in front of your community. And yes, it's been my purpose to really have this experience, and so I can help others prosper in their life, especially in regards to all the three facets of someone's life is so important to live a fulfilling life.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Again. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.